A complete breakdown from Jim Jordan. That is what we saw live today as he and other Republicans desperately trying to hang on to their jobs and onto their majorities are dealing with an affair scandal that is plaguing the entire Republican Party, not just because it could potentially cost them the House before we even get to the midterms, because they are having to reckon with the fact that they are the worst elements of their party, that this is not some party of family values and American values and traditional values. The guy who cheated on his third wife with a porn star and is a pedo is your president. I don't really think you have any values. And that is what Jim Jordan had to be confronted with to his face live on air, and he just melted down. But it wasn't the only thing that led to a complete breakdown from one of the worst Republicans there is, and just not a good communicator. I don't know why he was on CNN. He was also asked about Donald Trump's polling, which I think we all know is not very stellar. His response, it wasn't great either.
Okay, so President Trump, you look at the polls, they're not good right now. It's yesterday, before you jump in, this is the among independents, 26% of independents approve of Trump's handling of his job right now. He's now going to have the biggest audience that he'll have up until the midterms.
Yeah.
But how concerned are you about the president's standing among independents right now?
Well, there's plenty of time to change that, and I think tonight's speech, the president's going to do what I think you have to do in all campaigns. He's going to tell them what we've accomplished. He's going to tell them what we still need to do, and I think, frankly, he's going to remind the 30 million or so Americans who watch this that, you know, the left is crazy. Every policy position they take is truly crazy.
He's going to say the left is crazy?
I think he's going to give examples of all that. I mean, it's...
So if you think Jim Jordan has nothing of substance to say about Donald Trump's bad polling, just wait until we get to him being asked about this affair scandal, because it's not a whole lot better from old Jimmy Jordan. But to say that, oh, we got time, we're going to work on it, that's not right, quite frankly, the polls are fake and you're fake, is not really the great response that you want. And we saw a lot of this, funny enough, or I guess not funny given the circumstances, at the end of the Biden presidency. Now, the economy was improving. It wasn't collapsing because of idiotic tariffs, but it wasn't improving enough. We were in the middle of an affordability crisis. Everyone in America was feeling it. Now, it wasn't because of immigrants. It was because of private equity and greedy, business owners running up prices because giant corporations just need a little bit more money now, don't they? They can never have enough. But people did not like the fact that Democrats and the Democratic establishment told them that everything was fine. And that is now the same playbook that we're seeing the right run. And speaking of run, when Mike Johnson was asked about the affair scandal that ultimately had Jim Jordan breaking down, he did the exact same thing, ran from the question. His response is what we need before Jim. So let's take a look at, scared little Mike.
Mr. Speaker, why should Tony Gonzalez resign given these very serious accusations?
There are serious accusations, and it must be taken seriously. And I've told him he's got to address that with his constituents, and he's in the process of doing that. Is my understanding. There's an investigation in the state of Texas on these matters, and has been going for some time. And the Office of Congressional Conduct has also, it's been reported. They've been looking at it. All of that was news to me. But I think, as in every case like this, you have to allow the investigations to play out and all the facts to come out. I've been intellectually consistent about this. Whether you're talking about Republicans or Democrats, you have to let the system play out. If someone, I was against, for example, the expulsion of George Santos a while back, because he had been accused of a crime and indicted but not found guilty. If the accusation of something is going to be the litmus test for someone being able to continue to serve in the House, you'll have a lot of people who would have to resign or be removed or expelled from Congress. So I think you've got to allow this to play out. I think it is very serious. The allegations are clearly very serious. And Tony Gonzalez will address it. I think he will.
Does he deserve to win re-election? Does he deserve to win re-election?
We'll see you later, guys.
We talked about this yesterday because Lauren Boebert, along now with Nancy Mace and other Republicans, are calling for the resignation of Tony Gonzalez, just a disgusting, depraved individual who was sending horrifying text to a member of his staff asking for explicit photos. She was clearly uncomfortable, telling him to stop. She eventually went on to take her own life as she was dealing with the trauma. And it is just a shame that this man represents any Americans in Congress and that Republicans just put up with it. But of course they do. Who is the leader of their party? They do not have values. They don't actually care. And so when Jim Jordan was confronted with that fact, as you can probably imagine, he did not do too well with it. Because what are they going to say? Jim Jordan struggled through the answer, which he didn't really give out. And I would say it was a complete breakdown over this affair scandal with Tony Gonzalez.
So, there's another controversy. There's always controversies in the Capitol. One involving your fellow Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez. There's some really serious accusations right now that he had an affair allegedly with a former staffer. She later killed herself, and now there's text messages that have been revealed that suggest he was acting very improper. Now, he has denied some of this, but he has also not really addressed it as well. Some of your fellow Republicans want him to resign over this. Should he resign?
I leave that up to the voters in San Antonio and South Texas in Mr. Gonzalez's district. That's a call for the voter. I've always sort of taken that position. In the end, it's we the people who decide who represents us. There's an election in 7 days.
Are you supporting him for re-election, Tony Gonzalez?
We were, but there's also the guy who's now some of our colleagues are supporting Mr. Herrera. If Mr. Herrera wins, that's fine.
Are you going to support Herrera instead
of?
No,
I mean, look, we're for the voters deciding.
So you're neutral.
Well, no, I've done I've done events for Tony in the past, certainly to help our maintain our majority. And if Tony wins, again, that's a call for the voters next week. We're going to know in 7 days.
Okay, I want to ask you.
Hey, first of all, Jimmy boy, that's not an answer. Saying, well, we did support him, and I did some events, and maybe Don't ask me. There's another guy running. I don't really get into this stuff. You do get into this stuff, Jim. You are in leadership in the House Republican Conference. You tried to be speaker, and they didn't like your ass. Also, because you're a pedo protector, that's one thing. Before it was Donald Trump, who was the pedo that they were protecting. Jim Jordan has been doing that throughout his entire life. But of course he can't answer. And of course he breaks down and melts down because he doesn't want to admit what's true, which is Republicans do not give a shit about protecting women. It is a lie that they tell to excuse their bad behavior and to fearmonger people into voting for them. They do not believe it. Guys, Donald Trump is the president. Donald Trump has been the leader of the Republican Party for 11 years now? Let's not pretend that these people are serious when they talk about protecting women. So of course, Jim Jordan is not going to call for his colleague to resign. And it's also a funny response to say, well, I don't get into the resignation business. I really think that the American people should decide that. You called for Joe Biden and every single one of his cabinet officials to resign again and again and again. Like, you get into the resignation business, saying that's where you draw the line. Hey, I know this guy is a complete, dirtbag, and he had an affair with a staffer who was so distraught because of it that she went on to take her own life. But that's one thing. But y'all, I don't do this resignation talk. That's my line in the sand. Abusive behavior, resignation talk, though, can't. I'm Jim Jordan. I'm a principled man. But it wasn't the only conversation that Jim wanted to skirt when we were talking about abuse of power in our government, specifically, of course, with Donald Trump. He was asked about Kash Patel. And if any other government official, I don't want to do if this was Joe Biden or if this was Barack Obama, but if any other government official had done what Kash Patel did at the Olympics, it would be a story non-stop on Fox News. But Jim Jordan asked about it? Not a lot of thoughts, huh?
There's this viral moment with Kash Patel, the FBI director, when he was celebrating the great victory for the United States over Canada in the hockey game. Of course, I'm sure you've seen it. He was celebrating in the locker room. There it is on the screen. That aside, there have been just questions about his use of government jets, FBI jets, for personal travel. There was questions about visiting a girlfriend, a golf trip in Scotland, a luxury hunting retreat. Patel himself was critical of Comey, of former FBI directors for use of personal government jets. Should your committee look into his use of federal jets for personal issues?
Mano, this was as all-American apple pie moment as possible.
I'm talking about all this stuff.
The American men's team, the American women's team played unbelievable hockey.
No one
Great
does
moment.
that. No one does it. It was a great game.
Did you see Jack Hughes' interview? Jack Hughes, he said, I'm so proud to be an American. I'm proud of my team. It was as apple pie as it gets. And you guys are going to talk about cash.
No, I'm talking about his
Come
use
on.
of government resources to do personal things.
Well,
Which I'm
mine
sure
is-
you got to be conservative. Because Cash Patel, I just want to say, when he said about Chris Ray, he said back in 2023, I'm just saying Chris Ray doesn't need a government-funded G5 jet to go on vacation. Maybe we ground that plane. $15,000 every time it takes
Well,
off.
I think
just to
on this specific trip, he's probably, he's celebrating with the American team because it's a great American moment, unbelievable American moment. But I think he was over there because of security, looking at security. We got the Olympics coming to LA.
Donald Trump and everyone in this administration really has a fantastic talent for fucking up anything that was previously fun. The Olympics are a time for us to be patriotic and excited and to just forget a little bit and just watch the incredible performances and accomplishments of Americans that we are so proud of. And Cash Patel ruined it. But it wasn't just Cash Patel. It was those guys. I don't even want to call them men. Those guys, those boys, wanting to hang out with the pedo protector FBI director as he looked like a Make-A-Wish kid. And I'm not just talking about how short he is. Cash Patel's got he's got a look to him. I don't want to make a bad joke, but Cash Patel's got a look. He's got a little look. We don't need to go into it more. Because I know some people who are like, "Oh, Jack, you shouldn't talk about people's physical appearance." If inside you're a piece of shit, I will talk about your physical appearance. But Cash Patel and those just boys, just like losers who are going to be at the State of the Union tonight. Ugh, just disgusted. Again, do these guys care about women's sports? They pretend to. One guy was calling his daughter. The president of the United States is a pedo. The guy who's protecting him and making sure he's not held accountable for those crimes is popping bottles with you, and you're calling your daughter. Do you not see the irony there? I know there's hockey, you take a couple of blows to the head, but Jesus, I just can't stand it. I just can't stand it. And neither could Jim Jordan when, again, he got continually pressed on the failures of Donald Trump and continued to break down on air.
You know what, before, let me jump in, because he also said he was going to reduce prices on day one while in office, and just as his own data from his own government says that the rate of price increases for all food up 3%, up meat, poultry, fish, and eggs up 2%, all the way down the list. A number of items. Prices are still high, and on top of that, voters don't think he's doing a particularly good job about the economy or concerned about the state of the economy. 72% of the American public thinks the economy is fair or poor, and that's consistent with other polling.
Yeah, it's not easy to recover from all the ridiculous things and the rapid inflation, the record inflation that we had under Joe Biden. But we're in the process of doing that. Markets at record high. 2 quarters ago, we had
should he acknowledge the pain that Americans are feeling?
4.4% growth. We want to bring down prices.
Jim, the economy is shit. That was the answer. It's not strong. It's not good. It's not coming around. We're not 2 weeks away. It's terrible. And there is no other explanation you can give, no matter how hard you try to lie your way out of this one. And we are not going to let them, and we are not going to let them at the Capitol tonight, because that is where I will be streaming before and after the State of the Union. So look out for that. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.